so it can go out there and explore and kind of prepare the way for humans. And
for many years, sending a giant ship like Starship to Mars was considered impossible. The fuel needed for the long trip was way more than any single rocket could carry into space. Experts also believed landing a huge ship on the surface of Mars was too hard because the heat of coming home would burn it up. NASA and other companies tried to solve these problems for a long time, but they always ended up with rockets they had to throw away. Previous attempts with old-fashioned models failed to provide a way to carry heavy loads and use the same ship again. Then SpaceX made it work. They turned the impossible into something real by showing how ships could fill up with fuel while circling the Earth and then land safely on the ground. This is that story. To understand why this was so hard, we have to look at the numbers. Mars is about 140 million miles away from Earth when the two planets are close. If you want to send a ship that can carry 100 tons of cargo, you have a giant problem with weight. A ship that heavy needs a massive amount of fuel just to get off the ground, but then it needs even more fuel to push it all the way to Mars. Most rockets are like a car that has to carry all the gas it will ever need for a cross-country trip from the very start. The gas makes the car heavy, so you need more gas just to move the gas. For a long time, engineers said this weight problem meant we could only send tiny robots to Mars. They thought sending a large ship for people was a dream that could not come true. Conventional wisdom said the only way to do it was to build a giant space station in orbit over many years. This would cost hundreds of billions of dollars and take decades. This is why NASA's older programs were so slow. The Space Shuttle was a famous attempt to make space travel easier. It could reach the area just above Earth, but it was very expensive. Each time the shuttle flew, it cost about $1.5 billion. Even worse, the giant fuel tank and the big boosters were mostly thrown away or had to be rebuilt from scratch. Companies like Boeing and United Launch Alliance built rockets that could lift heavy things, but they always fell into the ocean after one use. This made spaceflight feel like buying a new airplane every time you wanted to fly from New York to London. Because of this, the cost to go to Mars stayed out of reach for everyone. Experts at top schools and big government groups said that landing a tall rocket back on its feet was a fairy tale. They said the engines could not be controlled well enough to balance the ship as it came down. They also said the heat from moving so fast through the air would melt the metal before the ship could ever land. The breakthrough came when SpaceX developed the Raptor engine and the plan for orbital refueling. This solved the weight problem and the balance problem at the same time. The Raptor engine is a masterpiece of engineering that uses a special kind of fuel called methane. Most rockets use kerosene or hydrogen. Methane is better because it burns very clean and does not leave soot inside the engine pipes. This means the engine can be used again and again without being taken apart. But the real secret of the Raptor is how it can change its power. These engines can change their power smoothly, kind of like how you can press the gas pedal in your car a little or a lot to change your speed. They can go from 40% power all the way to 100% power. Older engines like the Russian RD-180 are more like a light switch. They are either full blast or they are off. This matters because when you are trying to land a giant rocket, you need to make very small changes to the power to keep it perfectly balanced. It is like trying to balance a long broomstick on the palm of your hand. You have to make tiny moves to keep it from falling. SpaceX rockets can do that, other rockets cannot. This technical mastery is why one can land and the others just crash. The second part of the breakthrough was filling up with fuel while in space. Instead of trying to carry all the fuel from the ground, Starship goes into space and waits. Then other starships fly up and link with it. They move the fuel from one ship to the other while moving at 17,000 miles per hour. This is the only way to get enough fuel to go to Mars with a heavy load. It turns the area around Earth into a gas station. This change makes it possible to carry 100 tons of food, water, and tools to the red planet. Without this, we would be stuck with tiny ships that can only carry a few cameras. Another big decision was what the ship is made of. Most people thought the best material was carbon fiber because it is very light, but SpaceX chose to use stainless steel. Steel is much cheaper and it handles heat better. When the ship enters the air at high speeds, it gets as hot as 3,000 degrees. Most metals would turn soft or melt. Steel stays strong. This choice shows a deep understanding of what is needed for a ship that can be used hundreds of times. By using steel, they saved billions of dollars and made the ship easier to fix. The scoreboard shows how much this matters. One launch of the NASA SLS rocket costs $4.1 billion according to the government's own reports. That is a massive amount of money. For comparison, SpaceX wants Starship to cost only about $10 million per launch once it is working every day. If you look at the math, one SLS launch costs 4 to 10 times more than one Starship launch. This means SpaceX could launch a ship every single day for more than a year for the same price the government pays to launch its rocket just one time. These numbers prove who is winning the race to space. It is not just about the money, it is about how often you fly. SpaceX now flies the Falcon 9 rocket about 140 times per year. That is more than twice every single week. This high speed of working has allowed them to learn faster than anyone else. While other companies spend years in meetings, SpaceX is building and testing. This is why they have already achieved 11 successful orbital landings with the Starship system, while others are still on the drawing board. We can see the difference when we look at the competition. Boeing was given a $4.2 billion contract to build the Starliner ship for NASA. In 2019, their test flight failed because of a basic software error. They have had many problems since then and still have not finished their regular flights with. Meanwhile, SpaceX built the Crew Dragon and has already finished 6 missions carrying people to the space station by 2021. The cost for a seat on the SpaceX ship is about $55 million, which is much cheaper than the $90 million the government used to pay to fly with Russia. The pattern is clear for anyone to see. One group is using your tax dollars to build things the old way, while the other is changing the rules of the game. Another competitor is Blue Origin. Even though they have a lot of money, they have not yet reached the area around Earth with a big rocket. They are still working on their first orbital ship. This shows that having money is not enough. You need the technical skill to make the machines work. SpaceX has proven they have that skill by catching a giant rocket booster out of the air using 2 huge metal arms. This system, called Mechazilla, removes the need for landing legs. It makes the rocket lighter and allows it to be put back on the launch pad immediately. This is how the airline model for spaceflight becomes real. An airplane lands, gets more fuel, and flies again. SpaceX is the first to do this with rockets. The consequences of these wins are huge. The mission to Mars has moved from 2026 to 2028 for the first people to land. This delay happened because they want to make sure the fuel systems are perfect. China says they will land on the moon in 2030. At first, the US was going to beat them by 4 years. Now that lead is smaller. If more delays happen, the race will be very tight. China has been very good at hitting its dates. Their space station was built right on time, and their robot missions to the moon worked perfectly. The timeline tracking shows that SpaceX is the only reason the US is still ahead. Their ability to build 5 Mars cargo missions in 2025 alone shows a level of production no one else can match. The first humans to land on Mars will find a pre-built city of cargo ships waiting for them. These ships will carry the air they need to breathe and the power systems to keep them warm. By sending robots first, SpaceX reduces the risk for the people. This is a smart plan that protects the resources and the lives of the explorers. Every part of the Starship is designed for this future. The heat shield is made of thousands of small black tiles. These tiles are special because they are designed to be replaced quickly. If one breaks, you just pop a new one on. This is another example of technical mastery. They took a hard problem like heat and made it a simple fix. In the past, a broken tile could mean the end of a mission. Now it is just a routine part of maintenance. Your tax dollars are being used more wisely when the government partners with companies that can achieve these goals. The transformation is complete. What was once seen as a dream for a movie is now sitting on a launch pad in Texas. The high frequency of flights has made the impossible become routine. Every time a Starship takes off, it carries the weight of 15 fully loaded pickup trucks into the sky. It uses its grid fins starts to steer through the air like a skydiver. Then it fires its engines to slow down and land softly on a target. This process has been tested and proved. The engineers knew that if they could master the landing, they could own the future of space. They were right. The market share for launches is now dominated by SpaceX because they are the only ones who can fly this often for this little money. Looking ahead, the ability to carry massive amounts of cargo will change everything. We are no longer talking about just visiting the moon or Mars. We are talking about building bases and cities. This is possible because the cost of lifting a pound of material into space has dropped by 90%. When things get that much cheaper, people find new ways to use them. We will see factories in space making better medicines and stronger metals. We will see giant telescopes that can look at planets and other star systems. All of this happens because the rocket is now a tool that is used again and again. The mastery of the Raptor engine and the success of the landing system have cleared the path. The competitive victories over older companies have shown that the new way is better. The data from the scoreboard does not lie. While other rockets are still being thrown into the ocean, Starship is being caught by giant arms and prepared to fly again. The dream of becoming a multi-planetary civilization is no longer about if it can be done, but when. Each test flight brings more data and more speed. The impossible has become infrastructure. SpaceX didn't just land a rocket, they made it routine. Over 200 successful landings have occurred, while Boeing's Starliner hasn't finished its crew testing, and Blue Origin hasn't reached orbit. The transformation of spaceflight from a rare event to daily work is now complete. Starship will carry 10 times the cargo of any previous ship, turning the red planet from a distant light in the sky into a new home for humanity.